Well, this just means I have to come and do a close-up show.
Well,
By the
No,
way,
I've been properly enchanted by that. That was magnificent.
yes, thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you very much. Where are you located, Kilts? Where are you speaking from?
I'm in Australia. I'm on the east coast of Australia.
Okay, right on. Canberra, Melbourne.
She's
No, that's
she's
the
in a
south, right?
mysterious location. So
I'm
Okay,
in a
no,
mysterious
we're in the
location.
middle. So here I am in Chicago. You're LA region. She's all the way over there in Australia. It's like
yeah,
we've like spun the globe tonight, if it's a globe.
yeah. So Kilts. I grew up in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and
Mhm.
the city is Halifax, and our downstairs tenants were this lovely couple from Melbourne called the Coulthards. They had a handicapped son named Christopher. So I grew up hearing about the didgeridoo
Mm.
and kookaburra song,
Oh,
and
yes.
and I have a bona fide beautiful boomerang. Maybe that's why my boomerang joke is one of my favorites. So I covered the Cardinal Pell trial very thoroughly. I did 4 episodes. I interviewed Cardinal Pell, may he rest in peace, and never thought he was guilty. Never. I thought it was a complete setup. I think the Bergoglio Brigade paid his 2 accusers. But I've always felt very close to Australia. I love Australian movies from the 80s, especially.
Mm.
Careful, He Might Hear You, Breaker Morant.
Mm.
So I've always got a sort of a soft spot for Aussies. I've interviewed Monica Smith, and there's a spine among that remnant minority of Australians. So it's great to meet you.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure. And it's lovely to hear a positive review of us.
Yeah,
Kilt has her own issues with her
yeah.
people.
I
For a penal colony.
Well, that's part of the
well,
joke.
exactly. We're sort of on the road to becoming something that isn't a penal colony, hopefully, eventually. But yeah, no, that makes me very happy. The very the very kind of funny things that will remind us of home are exactly what you've described, even though they're exactly the things that we sell in tourist shops. But
Mhm.
that boomerang is it's kind of us. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
really lovely to hear.
yeah, cool. I thought maybe there was some South African too, but now that you keep talking, maybe not.
My accent's not normal.
Okay.
I didn't grow up with a lot of native English speakers.
Oh,
Yeah.
more cryptic allusions. Are you following all this crypticism, Rachel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the
She-
thing is,
she knows. Rachel
I'm
knows.
well, a little bit the same way, although not. Well, I don't know that people can't tell where my accent is from, and then they figure out I am from the South if they actually can hear the accents. But it's
Mm-hmm.
it's like we've camouflaged ourselves in various moments in our life so that it becomes hard to tell exactly. But we're the one of the many things we're doing on our own the Mosaic Arc, but in our conversations on it is unpacking all of the different layers of these regional histories.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of the South, we're going to be adding to Hope is Fuel, Catholic on Purpose, as we go. So the price will never go up, but the content's going to increase over time. I'm in touch with a movie producer who is the executive producer of a film you've never heard of yet, but it's already been filmed. They're editing it now. And the timing wasn't right for this one, but the movie's called Wildcat, and it's co-written by actor Ethan Hawke. Ethan Hawke starred opposite Denzel Washington in Training Day. He also played Nando, the main Uruguay soccer player who was part of that crash in 1972. Remember the story Alive? These group of Catholic soccer players, their plane crashed, and they entered into a pact to consume each other's flesh to stay alive if it came to that. And that's what they did, and that's why they got out. So Ethan Hawke played Fernando, the main guy. And his wife, Maya, have you guys seen I'm sorry to be so circuitous here. Have you seen Tarantino's movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
Yes.
No, I need to.
Wait,
I want to. You were telling me about it. Yeah.
Yeah, I did an actor on why this movie is just so magnificent. Maya has a short cameo as Leslie Van Houten, one of the killers, the real life killers of the Charles Manson family. She's the one, Kilts, if you remember, they're walking up, it turns out, to the wrong residence. but she changes her mind. Oh, I forgot something, and she goes back and then takes off. That's Maya. So Maya Hawke is starring as Flannery O'Connor in this movie.
Wow.
So it's called Wildcat, and I hope to get Ethan on to talk about the legacy of Flannery O'Connor and her grotesque art, which I love so well.
Yeah, that one I know. So with Flannery O'Connor, I know I need to read her, and I just can't. The A Good Man Is Hard to Find really hit me, and I just never got past it.
So the movie, this is so weird how small world, the little threads we're making here. John Huston directed Wise Blood just before he filmed Annie in 1979, starring Brad Dourif and Ned Beatty. Brad Dourif played the stuttering guy Billy Bibbit in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. What's the movie of Wise Blood? Oh, and let's continue. Wise Blood was adapted for the screen by Benedict Fitzgerald. Benedict Fitzgerald is the godson of Flannery O'Connor and the main screenwriter of Mel Gibson's The Passion of the Christ.
Ooh, now you just brought the card to the top.
It's like the Kilts, the two of wheels just came back.
Yeah, exactly. That'll be haunting me for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No bad dreams. I only work on the good team. Speaking of Australia and Mel Gibson.
Yeah, we lost him.
Yeah.
I think that's why we went insane. We just lost Gibson, and that was it in the country. Went down.
I saw a really funny meme. It was, I don't know, 9 celebrities, and it said, Hollywood is, the whole phrase was, Hollywood is filled with pedophiles, but the center was Mel Gibson. It says, Hollywood is full of, except Mel Gibson, full of pedophiles. Yeah.
Well, we have the specter of Mad Max hanging over us at all times. I think deep down, most Australians are anticipating Mad Max to become a reality at any moment. It's a kind of national joke that he's created this character that we're all we've taken on board, essentially waiting for the collapse and the emergence of like bikie tribalism in the middle of the suburbs. So yeah, it's funny.
We were talking about this with Hans earlier, Rachel, that the zeitgeist now is for any movie to do with the future is by default dystopian.
Yeah.
Everything's Mad Max or any blockbuster starring pretty much anybody. Soylent Green, the Omega Man, I Am Robot, iRobot. It's all this awful the Canticle of Leibowitz. There's no Wizard of Oz happy future in store, apparently, according to our artists. I hope they're all wrong.
Well, Australian artists are particularly plagued by this disease, Patrick, because we are a penal colony, and like, the professor was joking before, I'm constantly railing on the country now, but that's because they need it. The
all
Australians...
of your judgments are true.
I know, but it's sort of like, it's the goth again, and she's making a negative criticism.
No. You're very fair. We're judgy here in the right way.
A very discerning. The British set this place up as a prison, and then prevented the Irish from practicing Catholicism for over 80 years. So, huge convict population were Irish Catholic, also other Celtic Catholics, some English Catholics, but basically they were not allowed to have priests here at all. There was no mass. Catholicism survives here in Australia on the rosary prayers for a very long time. And then after the priests were allowed in, the Catholics were essentially a subject. People can argue better than I can in terms of the history of it, but the effect on the culture was that for the majority of the Australian experience, that the Irish Catholics essentially functioned as second-class citizens, which was up until the 1970s. So when you're saying you were interviewing Pell, Cardinal Pell, the late Cardinal Pell, this has a profound link with the history of the Catholic religion in Australia, and also the effect of this subjugation of Catholics and subjugation of the liturgical presence in this country, we don't have any medieval experience to rely on in terms of the background noise of our culture, with the exception of the Wogs, who carry this in the culture. But the Anglo-Celtic don't have anything with them, so the art is typically dystopian. And it's something that I noticed for a very long time in Australian filmmaking, in particular, Australian movies, very depressing, except for Mel Gibson's. But Australians cannot make cinema which breaks you into comedy. And I think it's because of this lack of connection with the great comedy. We've been talking about all of these movies and how they're connecting to the one great story. There's something about Australian cinema. So I'd be curious to know, if you go through the catalogue, you said you like the 80s films, to see if anything resonates with you in terms of the films that have been made in the last 30 years.
Sure.
That's very, very dystopian. And then it seems like we've entered this lull that we can't get out of.
Paul Cox, I think, directed Careful He Might Hear You. Have you seen that? With Wendy Hughes? It's a custody battle told through the eyes of a 5-year-old boy named P.S. Period piece, maybe from the 30s. John, iconic actor from the day, and I don't remember his name. Breaker Morant, which I think is from a play. The Mad Max series, of course. There is a more recent movie that's based on a play called Speaking in Tongues. The screenwriter is Andrew Bovell. I don't remember who directed it, but it's called Lantana, starring Jeffrey Rush, Anthony LaPaglia, and Barbara Hershey. It's 3 storylines that wrap around. It's a beautiful movie. The only couple with their heads on straight are the Catholic couple who are the Latins next door. That's basically a pro-monogamy story told through the lens of adultery. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a great movie. Yeah, watch Lantana. The trailer is good. Some trailers only give away the good bits, but it's beautiful. Lantana, which I guess is a native flower of interconnecting branches. There was a movie made in Los Angeles called Crash by Paul Haggis, former Scientologist. And Crash wanted to be Lantana when it grew up. There's a lot of, let's just say, borrowing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think I saw that one. Someone gets pulled out of a car. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and then go ahead.
Oh, the Anthony LaPaglia, he comes from that Italian immigrant community that I'm referencing, which brought brought back the Mediterranean to the rest of the country that had sort of been completely divorced from it all. So it's nice to hear, because that was very much the experience of the culture clash here. It's sort of like interesting to see, looking around, who'd kind of kept their sanity in the penal colony, which so it's nice to know they've put it into that movie.
Did Italy disgorge her lapsed Catholics and send them to Australia? Was there a rump of practicing Italians in Australia, or did they just bring the Mediterranean sensibility in food and wine, and that's about it, or architecture?
No, look, my people, we've had a really interesting experience. I mean, the grandmas, the grandpas, the nonnas, the nonnus, they were very practicing, very pious people. Catholic population in Australia has been fighting Americanization very, very much, and so we've kept the food, sometimes even the languages, because all the Mediterranean Catholics here linked up with each other. They all intermarried, so suddenly you're half Croatian, half Italian, or half Greek, half Italian, etc., half Lebanese, half Italian. They've kept everything. The religion has been retained culturally. No, I can't speak on people's particular piety of behavior, but the churches are packed in the feast days. And for the most part, people are holding on to it, I think, because it's it was the one thing that prevented them from liquidating into the penal identity here. And Mediterraneans do not want to lose that identity. It's not the same story that happened in America with the Irish and the Italians there that kind of became part of the white people incorporated thing. The Wogs here are still their own thing. So it's, in terms of like friends of mine, maybe not so pious, but maybe I'm not so pious either. But in terms of who they are, they're Catholic.
Interesting. Something in the bones.
Yeah.
Even in hell, you're a baptized Catholic.
Fitting for Australia.
You should try to get Mel Gibson to do something for Mosaic Art. I'm not joking.
We would love to. Cool.
Well, my
I have questions. He made one of my favorite films. Have you seen Apocalypto?
Yeah, he did, of course.
Apocalypto is one of those, the Passion of the Christ. Apocalypto. What do women want, or whatever the next?
Yeah.
Wow. Now let me just. The answer is yes. Apocalypto, completely magnificent. Exhibit A of things you cannot do in a book.
Right.
The screenwriter was a first-time guy, and I have a connection with him because I, growing up in Halifax, had a bit of a crush on a girl named Nancy Reagan, who was on television. She was a newscaster and so on. And her sister, Laura, married the writer of that movie. And it's maybe an Iranian name. Farhad Safina. Farhad Safina wrote that movie. And it's, again, he does one movie in Aramaic and then another one in, some subset of a subset of Mayan dialect. I think it's magnificent. There's so much. The big reveal at the end, I don't want to give any spoiler alerts, and they rush back in, but they have no idea. We were talking earlier about the micro stories, and Kilts, you made the point about the micro beginning, middle, and end, the various epics within the great Alpha and Omega epic of the Bible. In Apocalypto, it's the last 10 seconds that make you imagine an entirely new civilizational shift that these good pre-Christian pagans have been longing for. And they're going to sort out the difference between the imperialistic colonial thing and the real sauce, right? The gravy, the spice. Yeah, magnificent. I'm glad you brought that up. And of course, implicitly pro-life. With funny, too, there's little moments of humor. The guy, he burns his ass on that, whatever the hell it is. works in any language.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it was beautiful. It was pro-fatherhood. I really enjoyed that story. Yeah, he did a magnificent job.
Gibson consistently is pro-fatherhood, so it's nice to realize.
The first movie I ever saw that I walked out of when it was done and walked back in and watched it again was Gallipoli. You seen Gallipoli, Rachel? The Australians were used by the British as bullet fodder for the Turks in World War I. We've
talked about it.
No, I'm still bitter about it.
Yeah, no, that's a definite. That's a definite. So and that's what in Apocalypto, you realize that all of the young men taken from the countryside, slapped in uniforms and and murdered to feed the city. It's pretty plain.
Well, this has been my focus for a few years, Patrick, because the kind of temptation at the moment on the conservative side is to say, colonialism was fantastic, and they have to be reactionary against the leftist accusation about colonialism, and it was very basic for me, and it was not satisfying, because Australia saw a very different side of what the colonial project meant for the British people as well, multiple times. First as being sent here as prisoners, and then sent abroad constantly as mercenary soldiers. We were not nationalistic. We were not a national army. We were not. We were mercenaries. And then the way we were used as mercenaries was infamously horrifying, which Gallipoli depicted very, very well. So we have a different experience of the Imperial Project, which is something that I've been speaking with the professor about for some time, and that kind of experience has gone into Draco Chemicus as well. You know, what it really does mean to become an imperial power for good and evil.
I think you're right. The conservative impulse to accept the worst labels that we get attacked by embracing and domesticating the evil thing. Well, yeah, of course I'm pro whatever it is, pro-colonial, without thinking. Yeah. Well, sometimes it's like Christians do this all the time with the Rotten Tomatoes audience meter. A good recent example is the By For movie by Christians for Christians called Nefarious, about a death row criminal who's possessed, and it's an atheist psychiatrist who's supposed to evaluate him. Why did I bring this up?
We're taking on the labels. Tomatoes. No, but what Kilts was saying is like we just take it instead of. Well, I think, and we've done this a lot in Mosaic Arc and in our poetry writing. It's like recognizing there's a positive, there's a one side and the other, and they're the Jardian twins of the problem, and that only Christ enables us to get out of that twinning spiral.
Yeah. I remembered why. Christians will go, oh, the Rotten Tomatoes, the critics didn't like it, therefore it's awesome because it's about Jesus.
Right.
No, your movie sucks, and they're telling the truth. Stop lowering the bar, Christians in Hollywood. Get it up. Get it up there.
Well, Sleep Deprived Bear gave us another super chat and says, Mel Gibson on Mosaic Arc. Yes, I think is Mel is now haha, please get Mel Gibson on for us, Patrick. Happy to make it live. This is still Sleep Deprived Bear. Happy to make it live this time instead of watching a replay off UATV. Yes, this is the biggest live audience we've had. It's still not huge, but we
want to thank both viewers. Thank you so much.
The two wheels, you see, it's all about those two wheels.
Apostolic number. The thing is, having a studio audience, having the live audience, does actually help the videos. Then when they go out into the world onto YouTube and people watch them later, and yeah.
I've never been in the room with Mel, but we've got a whole bunch of people in common. So if someone knows Mel and can get this to him, why not do it? Mel Gibson did a perfectly sensible and charming video in which he held his cell phone up for the Association of Canceled Priests in Chicago. Why wouldn't he do this when you're talking about stories in Apocalypto? You could reference, I call it the Gibson psychological template. Think about the number of scripts that pass by his desk in the run of a, right? It's a big number. But he only commits to 2 or 3 years, sometimes 7 or 8 years, for special golden content with which he can identify. And so I want to say north of 90% of scripts that he has written, starred in, or directed, whose movies in which he's had a causal effect on the product, from Braveheart, Payback, Get the Gringo, Man Without a Face, to a different degree, Tim. Remember Tim with Piper Laurie? The Patriot.
Conspiracy Theory,
very good. They're all about a good man who has been wronged. Usually his family has been harmed, and he's out for blood revenge. The universe is out of kilter, and he's going to make it. He's going to, if I can use the word kilts. He's going to make it. He's going to write it, and usually by something self-sacrificial. And I think what broke the back of that template, I think, is the Passion of the Christ, because this is René Girard, where all the rage of a good man who's been harmed, like a jujitsu move, the Savior does not exact blood revenge. He accepts the blood revenge on himself, although he's innocent. It's that great catharsis where the violence is met with forgiveness. And I don't think he's gone back to that old template since then. It's certainly not there in Apocalypto, which is different altogether. I'm drawing a blank. There's 3 or 4 other Mel Gibson films that follow this. But he's just got his finger on the pulse of really important things. Look, he predicted transmania 20 some years before it happened with the casting of the Italian actress Alessandra, what's her name? Antone, the actress who plays Satan in The Passion of the Christ.
Oh,
basically
yeah.
trans.
Yeah.
How did he know that was coming around the corner? Yeah. And what's with the ugly Satan's love child?
Right.
The grotesque O'Connor-esque parody of the Madonna child, also mocking our Lord during his scourging, as if to say, buddy, I've got offspring. What you're doing now is meaningless. You're going to be dead, but my tribe is going to continue. Right? So, but it's not explained. It's just so brilliant.
Well, do what you can.
Well,
you got these cool cards you could show him.
Hey, Mel, this is the clincher. You have to say yes. You just need to look at these cards.
It could work.
Well,
I sent you those discs, right? Give him one of those discs.
Yeah, it's here somewhere. I was going to suggest a book. It's by Matt Briggs. No, I'm not going to find it. Matt Briggs would probably come on. Look him up through Hope is Fuel. Matthew Briggs is a PhD in mathematics from Cornell. He's on Twitter as @FamedCelebrity.
Oh yeah, I fangirled him once because
he's
I
good.
heard him on Patrick Coffin, and I read his Everything You Know Is Wrong.
Yeah, everything you believe is wrong.
And then I fangirled him, and he wrote me back. So he may know I exist. Because I was like, this is really good.
Yeah, that's cool. He's another shameless Romanist. I'm not going to be able to find it. Oh no, here it is. Sorry. On page 6 of this book.
Yes, I have that one.
He explained. Yeah. He explained me to myself. It's on why he takes pains to explain why he's not a conservative and why he doesn't think anybody should be conservative. What he is based, and he explains the difference between based and conservative. And based would never fall into the trap of adopting and domesticating colonialism. You know? Or of course, even the guys are, of course I'm a chauvinist. Why are you granting the other narrative by in other words, don't be a jerk. You don't have to be a jerk. We don't win by being jerks.
The other thing he says
concedes the narrative.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Dol. It concedes the narrative to other scriptwriters. Not to Christ as the scriptwriter of history.
Right.
So we say, okay, if they hate it, then we love it. But actually what you've done is you've just followed a script. You're not thinking about things in terms of the Christic, not right or left, but the royal way that we're supposed to be considering. Right. So
avoiding the errors of the extremes, because it's actually not that spectrum. It's above it. It's transcendent.
Yeah.
You see this on Twitter with well-meaning conservatives using the phrase biological male. Can we stop saying biological male?
Right, exactly. Don't concede that the word. So, but the other thing Briggs says at the end, I think it's in one of the appendix, and he's talking about how when you realize that there's to understand an argument, there's always a leap, and there's certain things that people are just not going to get. And I'm just like, okay. Right. And that is, when we're writing in the poem, it's like one of the problems of conversion is enabling yourself to, it is being in the place where that leap can happen. And Briggs is very, very clear. He's saying that you can't force, people are not going to get it. Right. And it's not because they're stupid or low IQ or something like that. There is the sort of, he's not saying this, I'm saying this now, seeing the pattern and being able to recognize it, that fractal repetition and typology, that's what Augustine is always struggling with, is how do you get people to see that? And at some point it's love and the spirit makes it happen, but you can't march people through the argument to get there. Another proof of our need for story. And Briggs, it seems to me, even though he's proving all of this stuff mathematically and logically, says, but there is even a point in a mathematical argument that needs that. And and the point, the joke in mathematical proofs is QED. The left is, the rest is left for the reader, and you're like, oh my gosh. So it's a theme for us and as Christians, right? It's like the rest is left for the reader. There is a point where you're going to have to take that leap.
Yeah, yeah. He's, by the way, Matt is a very skilled magician. I kid you not. Matt Briggs.
We believe you. Our practice, you realize that having you all on tonight is a very special event. We do not do guests.
Well, I'm honored. Thank you. It's been really fun.
No, because our project is not interviewing. Yours is, you and your interviews are doing a different kind of service. Ours is building this arc, and we invited you all in is because we knew you could help us build.
Good.
Yeah.
Get Dana Joya too.
Yeah, we can. We're starting to realize that we're at a point now that we're publishing the first act, and we're starting to need the spirit flying out there and collecting new people for us.
The money's going to take care of itself. Just imagine that I'm your guardian angel, and the money's no object. Who are the top 5 or 10 people that you want to associate with, that you want them to know about you, and you want them to help make your boats rise? Maybe it's appearing on the show. Maybe it's doing a guest thing. Maybe it's coming live. So I said Mel Gibson, totally not tongue-in-cheek. Go after Mel Gibson. I don't know Mel personally. He's not on my Rolodex. But a maxim that's helped me, I don't know how many things I've done that I was terrified to do, that I did because of this. And it sounds like the dumbest thing you've heard in a high school yearbook inscription. To try is to risk failure. Not to try is to guarantee it.
Oh, we're fine with that. We're just trying to figure out who's going to introduce us to Mel.
Yeah. Don't wait. No, don't wait for an introduction.
It'll happen. We'll find somebody. Well, the thing is, we ask all the time. We're always like, and that is, we've recognized this with our writing at all. I mean, Mel and Casey are still there. Casey saying, take away from Patrick Coffin's movie talk. Watch Get the Gringo and Apocalypto. Can vouch, both are really fantastic. That we started with Dragon Common Room with me saying we're going to learn to write iambic pentameter, and of course, and there was a bigger group in Centrism Games and a somewhat small. I mean, it's like getting down to the 4 of us has been a lot of training and discipline and regular work and practice, but the willingness to take that one little first step and then say, okay, now we're going to publish it. Okay, now we're going to, and the artists keep coming to us, right? Hand Drawn Bear for Aurora Borealis came to us. Zay Nuno Fraga, who's doing the art for Draco Chemicus, came to us, right? We are saying we absolutely trust the spirit to put us in touch with the people that we need. Mm-hmm.
This might help people on the stream because it would help me. Kilts, how did you meet Professor?
Yeah. What a weird place to meet her. So I was on a Telegram chat room that was run by her friend that many of you may know. He's called Milo.
Oh, yeah. I can finish most of your sentences. Yes.
The Milo went on to Telegram.
The audience may fill in the blank from there.
There's all blog posts about that year in that chat. So go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what was I doing? I was just gaming, just having fun. And then I started chatting with the professor and was like, oh, wow, she understands all of this stuff. I started checking out her work, but basically it was just conversations that we were having in the chat together where, I'd talk about some random thing and we'd have a back and forth in front of everyone. And at one time or another, it was her and I having private conversations in public.
But we were also a pest in that chat because when we could come in and take over like that, right? And
we were having too much fun.
Yeah, it was kind of like improv dance, right?
But it was amazing because I was talking about all of this stuff with her, and she was like, "Yeah, I get it. It's like this." And so, yeah, we just developed a beautiful friendship in this way, and that was a kind of miraculous meeting for me because we started to do the work that we've been doing in DCR when Australia essentially fell into like a martial dictatorship. So all of the external noise that was happening around us, and I'm sure you're aware of it because you've spoken to Australians that were involved. I mean, that 2020 was probably anti-creative, the year of anti-creation. It was like everything that had been done was designed to stop creation, essentially. So Rachel said, we're doing iambic pentameter, which was like, no, we're going to create and we're going to do it every day. So yeah, but that's how I met her, Milo. So thanks for starting the chat that I got kicked out of.
We've been kicked out. We've both been kicked out of it multiple times. And there's also now we're officially past the advertised marathon time. It's like, where's our drinks? We're gonna just sit down here and stay for the rest of the night. No, I can't because I'm gonna pass out in fatigue. But we can carry on now because now we're in gossip. Both of us got kicked out of Milo's chat many times.
by order of himself.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because
I'm a very enthusiastic person, Patrick.
That's a very cryptic adjective.
Well, but you can see. It's like we started this kind of conversation, and we do tend to overwhelm.
It's like saying that the Hindenburg had a fire code issue.
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
So this is such a beginner tourist thing. How long are you going to keep this puppy rolling, Rachel? The stream tonight and Kickstarter.
Okay, so the Kickstarter. So we've Silent Draco. He's Milo. Suddenly something fantastic happened. And Sleep Deprived Bear says, I haven't heard this story before. Oh yeah, there's stories. Those of you at UATV must know that one of the reasons I'm friends with Vox is because he stood up for Milo, and thus Milo is a good catalyst for bringing people together. And many of these, we've found each other through Milo, the mercurial catalyst. What was I thinking? Oh, right. So the Kickstarter ends at 8:00 Central Time in a few hours. I guess less than 8 hours now. And then I suppose I could play the game of looking at where we are right at this moment is at $13,232, 118 backers. Which means it's beautiful because we hadn't done a Kickstarter before, and so we didn't know the range of possibilities in this, and so we set the original goal at funding the first volume, which we've written the poem and we were getting the drawings finished, and we'd been designing these cards for a year. Actually, we started working on that last year. Mm-hmm. And this is good for us because having to put to sort of the pitch problem and the screenwriting, having to put together the Kickstarter meant we had to get clearer on what we were actually up to. I mean, it was nice when we were sort of, as Kilt said, in the little caterpillar or in the little, cocoon and hiding and doing it secretly, and me post every so often on my blog and stuff. But having to do the sort of promotion for the Kickstarter helped us clarify, I hope, much of our work. And Patrick, you actually helped me on that this past weekend, right? It's like in the moment of figuring out what we needed to say, much has come clear. So it's been a really important part of our writing process to do the Kickstarter. And we're incredibly grateful to everyone who's, backing us now, because that means we can now carry on writing Act 2 and 3, which are it's 5 acts. So it's the rising action, the crisis. And that will help us, carry on with the long-term work. Yeah. Does that answer that question? That part? Okay.
It does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're the more, I'm presuming you're a poet, Kilts. Is that what you write? Are you
part of the group? It's the 4 of us. It's Casey, Mel, Kilts, and me writing Draco Chemicus.
Awesome.
So sorry. No, keep going.
I was just going to say that the more talented you are as a wordsmith, the more hobbled you are when it comes to writing sales copy, because you want to err on the side of being. It's not a phony thing. You're not trying to be floral, but it's very, very tempting. I have the same temptation to be clever instead of being clear. Clear should always win the arm wrestle between clear and clever. So when Rachel and I were kind of spitballing back and forth, and she was trying to make it congealed into and distill what exactly you're looking for. So all of the mystical language about the spice and the dragons, I'm like, I'm lost. I don't know what that means. So when I said, Rachel, what is it? She would say it in one sentence. That's your, you just said it. When you say it out to yourself, it's a good exercise because it takes LYE. It's like putting strong lie on it. All of the organization is gone, and now you just have the thing itself. Like, great. I do not have juggling skill, but I have a great admiration for terrific jugglers. And the juggler exercise for a rehearsal is usually involving only 2 balls. You're doing basic 101 over and over and over again. Even though someone could juggle 7, the exercises are 2. It's the basic muscle memory that you need doing the simplest version of what you do, because everything else flows from that simple structure, that compressed template. So, and you guys will probably do another Kickstarter down the road. And so it's all a learning curve. Fantastic. Oh, can I tell you about the you know about the Pareto principle?
Yeah. The 2080.
Oh, Pareto.
80-20.
Yeah.
The 80-20. Well, you're already seeing this. If you put your givers on a chart where people who give $1 and people who give, let's say that the biggest gift is $5,000. 0, 20% give the other 80%. Right. But you mentioned the word fractal. It's fractal within the 20%. So 20% of the 20%, they are your super donors. And this is when you're wondering why more people aren't interested. Why isn't there a tsunami of interest to match your interest in what you're doing? Just remember what's his name, who when he went back to Nazareth could work no miracles because of the lack of faith, right? So our Lord calls the masses. Let's say he calls the 120. They're disciples, but 120 don't answer it. Only 12 do. And that's his crew. Those are the ride or die guys, except they're not even that ride or die, because fractal of the 12 is 3, and that's Peter, James, and John. And those are the ones he's always alone with up on the mountain. And even, I mean, it's not exactly 20, but only one of those 3 gets to be Pope, and that's Peter. So this, the 80-20 thing it's everywhere. And I find it helps me relax when I realize all you can do is pitch your message and ask for what you're asking for as directly and clearly as you can. And the people you're trying to meet and connect with, they will find you. And when they hear your voice, oh my gosh, I've been waiting for this. So I'm bringing up the Pareto principle for a reason. There's a guy called Perry Marshall. I've learned so much from this guy. I've never met him. PerryMarshall.com. Perry, you'll love this. He begins his book, it's called 80-20 Sales and Marketing, with an anecdote involving, Perry was a card sharp. He was a kind of a guy who was really good at math, and he had an unfair advantage over people when they played blackjack. So he and his mentor, a guy called John Paul, would drive from Reno to Vegas back and forth, scoping the place out and finding people that they can really crush and win a lot of money from. Not exactly morally upright. However, in this anecdote, it was raining. It's in Las Vegas. They're in this casino. And unbeknownst to Perry, his mentor is wearing a rain jacket and a sawed-off unloaded shotgun under the table. And they order a beer, and they're getting settled, and they're kind of scoping out the different tables. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, that iconic racking of the shotgun sound. The waiter comes over. Everything okay here, gentlemen? Yeah, give us another beer. So he leaves again. And Perry said, what the hell was that? It's an unloaded shotgun. Don't worry about it. I did this on purpose. Perry, says John Paul, did you notice which tables paid attention to the sound? Yeah. That table there, the one by the door, and one by the pillar. They all went, Scooby-Doo, right? What the hell was that? John Paul says, yeah, we're not going to play cards with those people. So racking the shotgun disqualifies people. Like when I did Hope is Fuel, the second Hope is Fuel, I got 40 speakers together, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Peter McCullough, Reiner Filmick, all the top attorneys and medical freedom fighters in one place, I was permanently banned from YouTube to this day. Kartra pulled it off the internet against their own rules. We sued them and we won. But I bring this up because that's a racking of the shotgun. When you rack your shotgun, you attract and you repel at the same time. And that's great, because what you're attracting are your ride or die people. And they're the only ones you want anyway. Look what happened with Hope is Fear, Rachel. 19 out of 36 people back away because of the magical association. I don't want to be associated. Holy shit. The problem is, and Timothy Gordon brought this up beautifully. So I don't know if you know Kilts. Kilts, sorry. I put together a video last year called 7 Pieces of Evidence that Francis is an anti-pope. And so I'm
aware of your controversial opinions regarding the Roman.
We're too medieval. We don't care. Any popes? Yeah. Tell that to Victor III or whoever it was.
Yeah. No. Please continue. I'm being cheeky. I'm being cheeky because I'm not Roman Catholic.
Coptic.
Okay. But you're Coptic?
I'm Coptic Orthodox. Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll go slow. Oh, the terrible joke.
Horrible.
Oh, hey. No. So I'm bringing this up because I was accused of being a sedevacantist, which is someone who believes that the last pope was 1958, Pius XII, right? I don't believe that. I reject that. I think that's a ridiculous dead end, and I've never subscribed to it, and God willing, I never will. Also, that I platform anti-Semites like E. Michael Jones. No one ever defines anti-Semitism. No one can give me a single example from his many books, interviews, and talks where he hates Jews. I don't. He's got Jewish fans. You don't have to agree with everything everybody says if you're going to collaborate with them. But the thought experiment has to do with Mel Gibson, and that is establishment Catholics who were fretting over their own reputations, meaning they would be invited to far fewer cocktail parties if they associated themselves with me. Some bishop wouldn't like them, and they wouldn't be able to host a pilgrimage. There'd be a financial cost, and so that was enough. So they cut and run. Even after reporting it, even after saying that they would do it, even Janet Smith, God bless her, she put her flag in the ground and said, "I'm standing with Patrick Coffin."
First she did it, and then
ridiculous, and she was praised up the wazoo by her followers. But then a day later, she deletes it and also runs away. So here's the thought experiment. If any of these establishment Catholics that have media platforms, say podcast or blog, if Mel Gibson's press agent called them to say, look, would you be interested in having Mr. Gibson on your show to talk about Resurrection, The Passion of the Christ, the sequel? They would have incontinence problems of joy. The interview of a lifetime. Right? Wait a second.
Yeah.
Mel Gibson is an actual sedevacantist.
Yeah.
And has been called an anti-Semite a million times. So,
people are conveniently blind in convenient moments.
Yeah, correct.
To details about people. Yeah. No, I saw what was going on, the professor being a part of the Hope is Fuel project, and I was reading on Twitter all of the comments and the back and forth with everybody that were weighing in on everything.
Did you make a few comments yourself? Maybe.
I may have. I am very.
You got it.
I'm very enthusiastic.
You put the raven and the dove together, and we're gonna make a problem. We're so good we get thrown out of Milo's chat, right?
Well, my specialism, Patrick, is the discussion on Semitism, and I'm very unhappy that the Americans have essentially monopolized the conversation regarding Hebrew identity. So I bring my perspective from the Coptic worlds to these conversations, and it's funny. People always seem surprised. They always seem surprised when there's a non-American view on this kind of thing. But I mean, this is a problem for Catholics because a big part of my trolling work on Telegram was to kind of remind everybody that prior to the Great Schism and the West being disconnected from the rest of a Byzantine experience in the Copts in Africa, we were all together And a huge part of the Catholic history, the Catholic experience has been with the Semitic people, with Jews, like Hebrews, Christians, but the Hebrews themselves. And when I'm hearing someone like E. Michael Jones do his work, I mean, it's mind-boggling to me that people can't, at the very least, recognize that is essentially what he's saying. He's not he's not discounting the origin of the church as a Hebrew institution, because that's what it was. That's what it is.
He said it many, yeah.
Yeah. So the cocktail parties are, they might be nice, but I mean, wouldn't you all prefer to be on the Mount with Christ?
That's it.
I mean, whose party do you want to be at? That's the kind of conversation that
we kept getting kicked out of
now. Yeah, I know. I was too loud, too many tequila shots.
Wow, that's ironic. All of Milo's battles are being canceled, and he gives you guys the Golden Boot Award. That's funny.
Well, that's part of the drama of the situation. But it's
all in good fun.
No, I mean, a lot. Some of our exits were more flamboyant than others.
Yeah, I've had this long conversation in public on Telegram to kind of remind everybody of this, and so there's been crossover with EMJ's work and crossover with Rachel's work, and that's why I was so excited to start talking with her, because when we first started to speak, she said, "You sound like a medieval Christian." My catechism happens in a non-Roman environment, non-European environment, and so we were talking. She said, "You sound like a medieval Christian." I said, "Okay, that's amazing," because I didn't know that there was this history in the West either. Right. I didn't know that Western Europe had this deep, rich, mystical, what I feel familiar as Christianity. So it was wonderful. And for anyone to discard that and to remove themselves from participating in it, I mean, they lost, The shotguns sent them running. You lost. You're not even at the table anymore. You're not going to win in the casino. You're not even playing. You're right. You're
very close with. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no! I mean, they're letting fear remove them from potentially reconnecting with the richness of their own tradition. It's just. This is a big. It's amazing. It's like.
It's a big theme of what I do. You just said the magic word. If it involves fear, that's the infallible sign it's not from God. The devil whispers in the language, in the vernacular of fear and confusion. And so the truth is obviously the exact antidote to that. It brings clarity and it brings peace, which helps explain, I think, why Scripture and the saints continually say the phrase or some variation of "be not afraid," because we're so prone to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd love to go to a Coptic liturgy. I'm very close with Chaldean Christians.
Beautiful.
San Diego. And so that's another, well, of course, non-African, non-European, non-American, ancient identity. Right. And it's very beautiful.
Well, and Mel, one of our other poets is Maronite. We're all converts of some sort, but into these ancient traditions, and that we are. So in our deep version, I mean, you help me figure out this. Like we're teaching in Draco Chemicus discerning spirits, effectively, and that can work on several different levels as the metaphor. But that we're also trying to work within this medieval integrated tradition of the ancient liturgies and scripture and art, and it's really we share different pieces of liturgy of all of our prayers, and it's one church. It's the ancient reality of the temple transformed through Christ.
Different. I love that it's not just one thing. We may have different teachings, but the same teacher.
Right.
There's a woman named Deborah DeGroff. Did I mention Debbie DeGroff,
I don't
Rachel,
think so.
before? Degroff. Her website is called What's Inside Children's Books. And Debbie catalogs the horror show parade of new satanic, blasphemous. Start the list with LGBT. That's the most benign of things that are churned out and are given to national library associations and placed in libraries, including libraries of Catholic school systems. Disgusting. And she has a book called Between the Covers, and she thinks that the end of literacy for children came with Dr. Seuss, and the 200-word maximum vocabulary. That was the end. So in 1961, you had 14-year-olds reading The Strange Case of Jekyll and Hyde and Mark Twain, and then it tilts, and you've got Judy Blume and Dr. Seuss, and everything is dumbed down. And now they can't even read. Now it's just if it doesn't fit inside a video world, no one's interested.
Well, that was why so we did Centrism Games first as our Dunciad parody, which I think I sent you a copy of, and then the second one was Aurora Borealis, which is the children's book. We want to get it to children. Some of us we're good. We keep writing, we keep creating. We're going to there's we're working in. I love Dorothy Sayers' vision of the Trinity, that there's as a metaphor of of art of making, right? And you have the idea, and the father-like, and you have the suffering of incarnation, which you have to write it. But then there is this moment when it's published and the spirit takes over and it starts acting out in the world. And the dove is giving us ideas. We're working with the ideas, but we also recognize the opposite is we can't just do it in this sort of safe little, coven of foursome. We have to send it out there, but as we send it out, we keep we have hopes, obviously, that people will start finding it, or will find the people, or however. I talk to everybody. and how somebody I've talked to St. John Cantius several times. They're familiar with me. Yeah, so there's it's what's interesting is we're in this kind of rivulet conversation, right? I suppose it's easy to see the giant like flood rivers of people being carried along, but there's so much work that people are doing that's out there, and it's filling the reservoirs.
Yeah, I call it making tributary, kind of off the main river.
Yeah.
This is great. I really appreciate the invitation to talk about stories as fictional things that help you know the truth and recognize it.
Yes. Well, I'm now fading. We've done a true marathon. I don't know how fast I'd run, but thank you for
cue the Rocky theme.
Yeah. Well, we do have an exit. We do have an exit music once we go off. We have the piano music that Kilts actually composed is our credits.
Do I get to hear it?
No, you have to watch it because it only feeds into the stream.
Extremely hurtful. Do you know about the? Let me just close my participation with this. Do you know about the music from the Tilma of Our Lady of Guadalupe?
Yes, I do. Not well. I'm not sure I've heard a recording of it, but I've heard that there is music in there. Yeah.
It's the design of her halo, which is perfectly elegant, slightly asymmetrical, that surrounds her body. Someone discovered a pattern of lines that, if it's run through some kind of application, I do not understand how it works, but it's a famous thing. Go to YouTube, look up music from the Tilma. It's 1531. It's the exact moment. It's not in Mel Gibson's film Apocalypto, but that is the era. It's about the same, depending on when the Spanish arrived. Anyways, 1531 when this happened. And the image of the Tilma it's miraculously put on there. There's not paint. It's not applied by a brush. Her eyes have inverted images upside down in the retina of the bishop, Zamaraga, and the saint. Is all incredible. One of those things like the Shroud of Turin. Yeah, as if it's a medieval forgery. They had really good apps back then in 14. But the music is sublime. So anyway, music from the Tilma.
That's.
I love the piano. I'll check it out.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna scoot us Kilts. Me, don't leave Kilts because we're gonna say goodbye.
No,
thank you, Patrick. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for hope.
Thank you for being a loyal friend, and your work is awesome. Sorry for the bad dreams in advance, Kilts, because of the music. Thank you for.
You're now an honorary goth, Coffin. That's it.
Oh, fantastic!
His name's Coffin. For goodness sake, he's a goth.
Next time we'll talk about punk music and Stiff Little Fingers and the Sex Pistols and White Salt Pathetic.
Maybe we won't. This is like a super duper special forever marathon, but we do need to have occasional meetups with outsiders.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, invite Mickey. What's his last name? He was the drummer for the Clash. He's now like a daily mass goer at a conversion.
We will be in touch.
Yeah, we shall be in touch. Well, God bless you both. That was a really fun night. Thanks for the invite. And guys, give them your money. Be part of the solution. Okay.
Good night, Patrick. Thank you.
Awesome. Good night. God bless you.
Thank you.